What's up, guys? Andre here from ListKit. Welcome back to the channel. We have a really good one for you here today. I'm here with Bailey, who was just telling me off camera that he's getting 3 times the amount of results with his cold email campaigns by simply picking up the phone and calling those prospects. So I'm excited to dive in. Welcome to the show, bro.
All right, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. So let me just go through some of these numbers real quick because this is mind-boggling, especially for someone like me who sends a lot of cold emails. At least I thought I sent a lot of cold emails, but seeing your stats, and you were saying this is just from one of your Smartlead accounts. You have multiple Smartlead accounts, which is a sending tool we all use. But in one of the accounts, the stats for last month, the month of March, you had 1.25 million emails sent from your Smartlead account with over 1,300 positive replies. Bro, those are insane numbers.
Thank you, dude. Yeah.
Break it down. How do you even get to sending that many cold emails every month? Over 1 million from just one Smartlead account.
Well, first of all, you got to understand that email and money are correlated. The more volume you send, the more money you make. Very rarely you'll get a much higher ROI by dialing your copy or anything like that. Like if you 2x your copy, you're going to get 30% better results, or you can just 300x your volume and that's it. That's basically how it goes. And on copy wise, we stick to just the simplest things possible and the most simple Outlook setups are the ones that everybody uses. We do a couple of different techniques on them, right? But really just stick to the basics. One quote I tell everybody that I meet is simplicity is the greatest sophistication by Leonardo da Vinci. And if you just do what you already know how to do, but you do it a lot, you're going to get much better results. We have 15,000 sender accounts, right? That's crazy. And basically the whole process for our campaigns is, think of it like this. We create a copy, we scrape a list using some reseller, right? And then from there, what we do is we send out emails, get a positive reply. Within 30 minutes, somebody calls basically saying something along these lines of hey, John, so I replied to one of your emails regarding XYZ. Is this a bad time to talk, right? I only have 2 minutes I need to run, right? And they say, okay, yeah, this is not a bad time. Or if they're in a meeting, they're call back in 30 minutes. You go, you call them back again, then you run them down through what you do. And the actual part that nobody understands about this gives you a live opportunity to objection handle them without letting them dodge. On an email, if you just reply to them, hey, John, yes, I'm interested. Okay, John, this is what we do, XYZ. If he has an objection, he might just not send it to you. And that actually happens a lot of the time because it takes his time and effort. But if you're on a call already, you're kind of just locked in there, and you can basically just objection handle from there, right? And you can just not let him go until you actually book him in. That's basically what we do. And it actually does get 3 times many results. On a lot of our campaigns, we average a 30% book rate. On some campaigns, we average a 50 or 60% book rate. And our CTAs are just do you want to have a call? Or do you want to have a discussion about this? Something like that. We don't do loons or more info or anything like that.
It's unbelievable, dude. In the simplicity of it is what I love. So people that are watching, for the most part, they're sending cold emails. Maybe not as much volume as you, but they're sending cold emails using Smartlead, using ListKit, all the tools out there, right? And so when they get a positive reply, exactly like you said, they're just responding back through email. And so that's really easy to do because you could use the Smartlead master inbox. You could sit behind your computer and do it. You could do it while you're on the go. You don't have to pick up and call someone. So when you break it down, what does the tech stack look like if you or as you add the calling component to these campaigns? Does it complicate it by a lot? What goes into it?
So if you already use a CRM, I know a lot of people use Close CRM for cold email. It doesn't complicate it at all. What you do is when you upload leads into a Smartlead campaign, you select a custom field and you make it their LinkedIn URL or just their website or something related to them, right? And then whenever you get a positive reply, you can click on the profile in the master inbox. You'll actually see their LinkedIn URL, or if they're in Close CRM, you uploaded all the leads and you'll already see it. What you do, you copy that LinkedIn URL, you can paste it into ListKit or a bunch of other providers, right? And get the phone number from there, add a little field. It takes 5 seconds and paste it in. The whole process from getting a reply to getting a phone number takes less than a minute per number, right? You just basically call. If they don't pick up the first time, you double dial just in case if they have do not disturb on. and you go on from there. The faster you call, the more pickups you'll get. So like if you call within 15 minutes of the reply, you're gonna get like 60% pickups. Within 30, you're gonna get like 50 to 40% pickups, and after that, you're gonna get like 30%, right? And so that's basically what you have to do.
Wow, bro. And what are you using to call? Like, are you just calling straight from your cell phone, or?
The CRM Close has a built-in phone number. Like you can assign as many phone numbers as you want to you or your SDRs. Well, I know some people will actually have like 10 phone numbers, one for each major state. So if they're targeting California, they'll have a California phone number. If they're targeting like New York, they'll have a New York phone number just to have that matching area code and just go from there. Like it's that simple.
It's really that simple, dude. Like the way you explain it just makes it just makes me and probably everyone here watching that's not calling the cold email replies like just feels so dumb for not doing it because it's so simple. So and then do you have Zaps or something set up from Smartlead to send those replies over to your close CRM, or how does that all work? Like how
We
do you
forward all the replies.
go high level or to close?
Yeah, so all the replies get forwarded into one Unibox, which is connected on Close. And so, for example, like this is the entire process. We have, for example, 10 inboxes. Those 10 inboxes will forward all the replies that don't include the warm up keyword to one inbox, right? Then we'll connect that inbox to Close. And then let's say you want to upload a lead list into your Smart Lead campaign. You upload that lead list into Close as well. Congrats. Any email that comes from one of the emails on the lead list will pop up in Close. All the other ones will not pop up. And from there, you can just go and call them and filter very quickly, right? Like you can go through 10 emails. If they're out of office, you can just click done very quickly because you usually see in the preview text. Otherwise, you like, it's that simple.
Yeah, and I think one of the secrets we talked about this off camera as well is the volume in which you're following up with these guys, right? Because you said the pickup rate, even if you call them within the first couple of minutes, it's like 60%. So, like, how many times on average are you calling someone that doesn't pick up the first time? And, like, what does that cadence look like of, like, essentially the subsequence of making that first dial?
So think of it like this. Let's say they reply at 10, right? We call them, double dial. They don't respond. We double dial them again like 5 hours later. They don't respond. We call them again next day. And if they don't respond, we call them again next week. And then every time you call them, so the first time you just send them an email, hey, try calling you from this number. Didn't pick up. Let me know if you want to have a talk. Also, here's some more info about what we do. And it's like very, let's say, extracted info. Like it's very complex and just they would have questions about it rather than objections, right? And then from there, you go just follow up 3 times, right? Those like 3 different dials, and then do one last email on the dial after the week of the initial one, no pickup. But like if they don't pick up within the first 2 dials, most of the time it's just a dead lead, and rarely you get after a week. But like you still get leads from it, so we do it.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, I love a couple of things you said in there specifically, like send them information that they'll have questions on, not objections on. And that's going to prompt them to either email you back or answer the next time you call. I'm sure that definitely plays into it. And then just like the volume, like you said, you double dial, which is one of the biggest hacks, I think. A lot of people that do cold call, and like when I share this with people, like double dial, because most people have do not disturb on and they do it, like the results are so drastically different. So that's a great tip as well for people that are not experienced with doing these things. And then the week long cadence as well. And then the emails that parlay into it, right? Because then the emails and the phone calls are higher intent, right? Like if you call them, they don't answer, you could literally say in the email, tried calling you, then you didn't pick up. Obviously, here's more information. Try me back. And you can reference the email when they do pick up. So take us through that script again, real quick. When someone does pick up the phone, what are you guys actually saying on the phone to get them? And the goal, right, is to get them on the calendar for an actual book meeting.
Yeah, so by the way, for reference, I learned this script from Carson Spitsky, right? Like he was the one that taught me about all this cold calling. And this is how it goes. It's as simple as like, hey John, say you reply to one of our emails regarding PR, right? Like, is this a bad time to call? Don't worry, it has to run like 2 minutes. So like won't keep you here for long. And then after that, like I have to run in 2 minutes, that actually prompts them to like, oh, okay, like he has to run. So this is not a bad time. But a lot of the time, if you don't say that, they'll say, okay, yeah, this is a bad time. Just like send me an email, right? So you just do that, and like it is that simple. From there, before you like book them in, you ask them, okay, by the way, is there any reason possible that you would not make it at this time, right? Because if there is, like, let's just rebook it, or just let me know ahead of time so we can reschedule, right? And then basically have like a 90% show rate with no
On
follow
the
ups.
actual calls you book. Yeah, yeah. That's I talked to Dylan Rich on one of these interviews as well, and he said the same thing. Like the show rate on calls booked from actually calling the prospect are way higher than when you book them through email.
Yeah, because then you actually have like a personal connection, right? So before it's just like an email over text and it's not that much intent. And a lot of the time, you can qualify them on the call, right? So a lot of people have qualifying questions they ask in the email. I find that very hilarious because like you're adding more friction to them like booking in a call and becoming your client, right? You're already like cold emailing them. It's basically as like just door knocking, right? They don't want you there. Why are you making it harder and have more work to do to reply to your emails? When you call them, it makes it much simpler because like it's a personal connection. And a great exemplar is if you have two letters, one is handwritten and one is like printed, you're gonna open the handwritten one first.
Yeah, 100%, bro. That's gold. And how long have you been doing this for? Like the cold email plus the cold call.
So cold calling we started doing in February last year, and then cold email we've been doing for like almost 3 years now. I can tell you like cold calling really does help. Before we had a 60% show rate and around a 10 to 15% booking rate. Afterwards, initially before like everybody jumped onto it, we had a 50% book rate, and then it dropped to 30%. But like if we just send out full volume for ourselves, we can expect to book 25 calls in a day, right? Like my friend Carson, he has multiple days like that are just average 20 calls, and like the entire week just averages 20 calls booked and just 50-minute intros.
Insane, bro. Insane. So since doing it for now over a year, the cold email plus we keep calling it cold call, but it's really just calling. It's like warm calling. What are some of the biggest learnings that you know now that you didn't know when you first started? Or what were some improvements you made to the system over the past year that like really changed the game for you? Or has it just been pretty consistent since you started?
People are interested in what you have to sell. They already reply to an email, they are interested. They just want a little push forward and a direction where to go, right? Think of it like this. Somebody replies, yes, I'm interested to your email, or hey, can you tell me more information, right? They already have intent. They have the problem that you're solving. They just need to know, what do I do to go and like to fix it? And then from there, you just don't have to be hard on them, and basically just try to hear them out and understand that you're already in a position to solve their problem. They already want you there. You just have to make sure you don't give them a reason to leave. And a lot of people mess this up by acting like they're the expert and just telling them like we'll fix it, rather than trying to hear them out and figure out what their actual exact problem is. Like so if you're selling lead gen, sometimes it may be just that they get too many leads from referrals. They want a consistent lead source. Other times they just don't have any leads. Other times it's just shitty leads, right? And you have to understand like which one of those is. You can't just go and being like blah blah blah. We do this without first understanding what they actually need from you.
Yeah, it's common sense, right? It's just like the basics of lead generation
Yeah.
actually being implemented into these processes, right? You can't do these things without understanding like the fundamentals. So it's a great reminder. One of my favorite questions to ask, and which will be helpful for the audience as well, is like you make all the effort, you put in all the time to actually start to do this. How do you know that you're doing it well? Like, what are some KPIs or benchmarks that you are looking at and measuring for?
If you're booking per 1,000 emails, like with cold calling, like 2 calls, consider that campaign like a success. You can post it in all the wins channel. Everybody will worship you. Otherwise, like you want to see how long your talk time is, right? So if you're actually getting through to pitching them on the call rather than just like, yeah, hey, this is a bad time. Because it's a bad time every time, like you're just something wrong in the email or something wrong you said. So like your main KPI should be, first of all, like 30% book rate. That's pretty average. But second of all, is like how many people are you getting through to like, no, this is not a bad time, right? That should be like a 70%. So that's what you like should be looking for.
Okay, got it. And just to clarify, the 30% booking rate, what is that based on? Like how many leads you're reaching out to? Like where do you measure that? Awesome.
So let's say you get 100 positive replies. You should book 30 calls from there, right?
Okay, from the positive replies, that makes sense. I thought you meant from the actual leads. I was going to be like, that's
Yeah.
your second coming in the lead gen space, essentially.
Yeah.
But no, that makes a ton of sense. So 30%. So if I do an email campaign, I have 100 positive replies. If I'm only booking 10 right now, it's probably because I'm not doing this calling thing. And if I do the calling thing, the KPI to show that I'm doing it the right way and successfully is that I now have 30 calls booked.
Yeah. And that's like very conservative. Keep in mind that we get too many leads to actually call. So a lot of the leads we just don't reply to or just ignore entirely because they're just unqualified based from their website alone. So that 30% doesn't count in all the leads we just straight up ignore. So it's actually sometimes even higher than that. And I know people have a 50 or 70% book rate. Like they do 3 calls and they book 2 calls.
Wow.
So it's really based on that.
And Bailey, are you doing the dials yourself or do you have a team doing this?
So I don't do that myself. Personally, like I'm not that great at sales. However, I do know people that are good at sales. And then we have some other people just doing the calls for us. It's very simple. Like the entire SOP is like you get a positive reply, you pull the number, and then from there you follow the script, which is the same one I laid out to you. I guarantee you, like the script will never get burned out or anything, mainly because you're just telling them exactly why you're there and they start, and because they already replied positively to your email, they're not going to leave, right?
And the honesty in what you're saying is there as well. It's not like a hack or a tactic. It's like you're just saying it as it is.
Yeah,
And saving yourself and them the time, right? Because even though you're saying I got to run in 2 minutes, like, dude, no one wants to be stuck on a cold call for 30
exactly.
minutes yourself, right? So it's a mutual agreement between you and the prospect to get off the phone as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess a question for you to follow up on that is like, where do you find people to do the calling for you? Do you recommend it? Or if I'm just starting out with this process, should I start on my own? Where does someone start with this?
I would just start on your own. Like, first of all, you have like two main options on how to learn cold calling. You either listen to somebody for hundreds of hours of them doing it, or you do it yourself for 10 hours. It's like as simple as that. And once you got it down to a T where you actually understand the process and how it goes, the easiest way to find people where to hire is just like Upwork, or most of the time go to like Robbie Cannon, Dylan Rich, or any of the people that build out sales teams, right? Or like the SDR Whisperer. Personally, I went to Robbie Cannon. Like he's a great guy. So shout out to him. He's the one that hired us, the cold callers.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And the ROI is pretty clear cut here. I would say two biggest thing that I always say on these interviews is like one, you need to get your leads from somewhere. So obviously this is ListKit's YouTube channel. So go to listkit.io. You can sign up for any of our plans to get triple verified email credits and mobile credits for people in the US. Number two, you need education. This video in itself is an absolute masterclass and should be enough for you guys to at least get started. If you need more education on cold calling, one of the guys that Bailey just mentioned, the SDR Whisperer, Dylan, he has an entire course from A to Z on how to do cold calling and what it is and just the basics of it in our free school community. We also have a free course on doing cold email if you're still not doing cold email and you're listening to this. So that's at school.com/listkit. And then Bailey, are you posting any content anywhere online or can these guys connect with you somehow to just continue learning from you and just seeing like the insane results that you're posting?
I mainly just sit in the Smartlead Slack and Client Ascension Slack, but like out there on Twitter or YouTube, not really. We get enough leads as it is from just cold email.
Yeah, I get you, bro. Okay, so if you're in Client Ascension or if you're using Smartlead, keep an eye out for Bailey in those Slack channels. But any last words of wisdom or advice based on our conversation here today, bro?
Don't use LinkedIn or Upwork for hiring SDRs. You'll get a lot of fake applications. Most applications you'll get are completely fake. And if you are going to use it, even after this warning, only hire from the USA. Because if you hire from the EU, even if you filter for accent, a lot of the time, their resume or anything is just going to be entirely fake. And it's just a terrible experience for me. You want mainly like young, hungry guys rather than like old people who are like, this is the way and don't talk to me, right? I know what I'm doing. So that's like, we learned a big lesson there. We hired a couple of people from LinkedIn and Upwork, and it just did not go well. Their resume said one thing, but then when you talk to them, they don't actually know anything. And then even after you qualify them on LinkedIn, a lot of the time it's just they can kind of gaslight you, and you don't even know that they don't know what they're talking about. So
That's
that's the words of wisdom.
it's a wisdom. Yeah, dude. I have similar experience hiring people that are so like caught up in the way they have used to or are just used to doing things and not open to change. Like those are the absolute worst hires because they'll make you question whether or not what you're doing is the right thing. And you
Yeah.
never want to have to experience that. So, anyways, Bailey, appreciate you, bro. This has been just again an absolute masterclass, like a very clear and simple pathway for people listening. If you're already sending cold emails to 3x the results you're seeing from your cold email campaigns without even having to send another cold email, simply by just adding this new touch point that is picking up the phone and calling the people that respond. So, appreciate you spending the time with us here today and dropping a bunch of value.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Happy prospecting, guys.